Awards. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to come into your homes to consult with you all about the health needs of Kashmere Multi-service. My name is Ashanti Bell, and I represent Circle Network. And essentially, we are here to offer support, advocacy, awareness, and education in lieu of the creosote contamination in 5th Ward and Kashmere Gardens. We're looking to be able to offer support in the aspects of financial education, physical, mental, and spiritual support, and resources. And that is essentially what we will be doing for the next 6 months, from January, which was our first event, to June is 6 months, a 6-month awareness event, bringing in resources, bringing in education, and bringing in advocacy and support for you guys. So we're going to start off with a moment of prayer, and then we'll go ahead and get into all the information. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you for everybody in attendance. A couple of housekeeping rules. We need to be off the grounds completely by 8 in the evening. That means out of the gate. So by the time that we finish up around 7:30 with the speakers, we'll have some time to share information and discuss any of the things that we heard up here. In the meantime, I just going to start off with a little prayer. And if you may close your eyes, I thank you. Father Lord, we come before you with thanksgiving and praise. And we thank you, Father, for the day-to-day blessings that you provide us with. We pray that you allow us to serve in purpose, Father Lord, for allowing us to be here in this center and be able to discuss these situations that are happening to the communities affected with the creation of cancer. Allow us to serve in purpose and allow us to provide the information necessary for those who need to hear. May you bless us, Father, in all that we do. Each moment is precious. We pray and we give you thanks for the moments that you give us to speak to others and share the ideas, experiences, and the strength to strengthen each other. We thank you, Father, for your blessings on a day-to-day basis. In Yeshua's name, we pray you be blessed. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. The thing that is bringing us all together today is cancer. Whether we've been affected by it, whether we know someone that has personally or through the line, cancer is a huge, unnatural issue that has taken a toll on the bodies and the communities of 5th Ward, Kashmere Gardens, and all across America. The biggest thing that I want to touch on in regards to this is the education aspect. Some people say that knowledge is power. Some people say ignorance is bliss. I tend to believe that knowledge is power. I don't think that it's blissful to not know why you are sick or can't hold anything down or your body is failing you. I don't think that it's bliss to live and work in environments every day that you are trying to invest in and to no avail. You can't be able to live to see the fruits of your labors or to be able to pass on those fruits of your labors to your generations. I don't believe that that's bliss. And so being on the side of education and knowledge is power, I want to be able to offer that to you all today. The biggest thing that you will ever spend your money on, your time on, your energy on is in our 2 forms of education and health. Those 2 aspects are things that can either make or break your lifestyle. And unfortunately, cancer is a diagnosis that tends to not only weigh down on the souls and the hearts of those that are afflicted by it and their family, but also on their pocketbooks. Cancer is one of those diagnoses where it requires lots of forms of treatments, and it requires time in those treatments. And unfortunately, that time converts into money. A lot of times when we find that we're not feeling well, if people don't have the proper health insurance or health care in place, the first thing we're thinking about is, we can't pay for that right now. Let me just kind of put a Band-Aid over it until I get better, or I hope that something works out. Because financially, that idea of sickness comes with the burden of having to be able to pay for it. And so with knowledge being such a huge tool in our arsenal, there are so many resources to be able to not only prepare yourself for life, but to protect yourself from the limits that life gives you. Many don't realize that investing in yourself through insurance is not only a advocacy for yourself, but for the things that you're working towards as well. We have different sources like AFLAC that has a cancer policy that's able to actually protect you financially if you get that diagnosis of cancer, all the way from the diagnosis and being diagnosed to it to the treatment and the rehabilitation process of it. Those funds are funds that don't get paid to hospitals or doctors' offices, but they get paid to you so that you can be able to sustain your lifestyle of getting better, as well as what you've worked for. Life insurance. There's so many different aspects of life insurance. Most people think that it's only for when you're dead and then it's passed on to your beneficiaries and they're able to continue with their life. Well, there are so many different facets of it. Like if you get sick with a critical illness or diagnosed with something fatal, you can be able to take 75% of that distribution of that face value of what you've paid for up front to pay for things like medical, to pay for things like rehabilitation, or to simply pay your mortgage or be able to enjoy your family. Those are preparations that you can be able to take so that you are not caught unaware when life hands us lemons, but also to be able to protect all that you've worked for. And so we do have different advocates in the room that can be able to speak to you in regards to getting that information so you can be able to prepare and take care of your family. Cancer has afflicted people in so many ways due to so many different pieces and attributes, but specifically in this neighborhood, it is environmental. It's something that you can't do anything about. Due to the cancer or the creosote contamination that is in the grounds and the groundwaters and the atmosphere of this community, people are being afflicted with cancer on the highest level, from lung cancer to breast cancer to colon cancer to rectal cancer, so many different forms of cancer people are experiencing just from where they live. And that's something that people can't do anything about. So with that being the source of the cancer affliction in this community, we want to be able to advocate on how you can protect yourself from the atmosphere that you live in. There are so many different ways to be able to do that. You may not be able to uproot and move. Who would want to do that? You spent your whole life building for this. But there are things that you can be able to put into place to be able to protect what you've set it forth for your generations, as well as to protect yourself from the place that you call home. And so that is really what our mission is for Awareness and Awards, to be able to educate, support, and teach people how to use the resources that are around them all throughout Houston, because Houston is a huge hub of resource, especially for cancer. To educate you all on the aspects that you may not have known that you have resources to, like free screenings, like health benefits, like financial benefits. But also educate and support you all through the mental and the emotional and spiritual battle that happens when your body takes toll. And so I want to bring to the podium our first speaker. He is a master when it comes to mastering your soul and your spirit so that you can master your body. And he is decorated with an array of accomplishments. And so I want to bring our first speaker, Dr. Khan.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Before I begin, I want to do a little housekeeping. One, contact information. My website is chikunyourhealth.com. That's CHIKUNGYOUR health, HEALTH.com. Contact information, 832-821-KHAN-5426. Now, I will begin my presentation. Ever imagine meeting someone who can enable you to live life with less stress and tension. Someone who can enable you to celebrate life to its fullest. Someone who can show you using easy, simple steps that even a child can do. Well, that is what I do. I am Dr. Nduhu Khan. Now, before I go further, let me say a few things about me. So the question may be asked, well, Dr. Khan, what qualifies you to talk about health? Well, one thing, I have an array of stories to speak of, but in particular, since the subject today is about cancer, I'd like to share with you this particular story. Several years ago, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And they sent him home to die. So I said, Pop, what do you want to do? You want to stay here, or do you want to leave? Want to be around for your great grand? He said, I want to stay. So I said, let me share this with you. I can tell you what you can do to help stay here healthy. Yet once you go in the program, you cannot go back to your bad habits, because if you do, it'll return upon you ferociously. So he got on the program, changed his diet, watched what he eat, started taking alternatives, exercising, doing qigong and some other things, and juicing, and etc. And then he went back 30 days later. I said, when you go back to the doctor, your checkup, don't pull out your scroll and say, this is what I've been doing. Don't do it. Just say, I've been following your program. Now, his pH was over 1100. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's not good. He went back. The doctor spoke, so your pH is lower than mine. So what are you doing? He said, well, I'm following your program. They smiled at him. They said, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, because your pH is lower than my pH. Yet, sometimes we get happy. I said, Pop, don't get happy and go back to your old habits. He got happy. And he went back, and from that, it was Father's Day. He was in the bathroom, he collapsed. I had to go in, lift him up. My mom got him cleaned up. And from there, ambulance, hospital, hospice, and transition. So for those of you who have lost someone due to cancer, I know how you feel. I am an advocate of good health. I say one of the most precious things that you have in this life is your health. It is invaluable. Yet we put it at the bottom of the list until we get sick. And then we say, oh, what can I do? And when we get better, what we do, we put it back at the bottom of the list until next time. And I'm saying, come on. We're not slow. So there's some things you can do to maintain balance and health. Now before I go on, let me say this. Before making any changes in your diet or your physical regimen, please contact your healthcare provider or your physician. All right, now I will continue. For those of you who know what I just did, you understand why. I'm not advocating that you should not listen to your doctor. Listen to your doctor. What I am saying is that you are responsible for you. It's on you to take care of you. Not no one else, not your mom, not your dad, not your parent, not your sibling, not your spouse. You are responsible for you. And you should take care of yourself. Now I'm going to give you the sidebar, the exercise. And someone said, well, I take care of myself. Well, the first test is, do you love yourself? Now, if I ask anybody in public, they say, well, yes, I love me. When you're on the spot, I have exercise for you and also for your listening audience. In the morning, when you wake up, go to the bathroom, close the door, and before you get all putty, don't brush your teeth, wash your face, don't clean your eye out, don't do any of that. Look in the mirror, and you say, I love, and say your name. There's no witnesses, just you. Years ago, one of my mentors told me to do the exercise. I said, well, of course I love myself. I can do this. I couldn't wait till the next morning. I can do that. I love me. I got up the next morning, went to the bathroom, closed the door. I said, I couldn't get it out. I couldn't say the rest. I could not tell myself I loved me. And I made it a point every day since then to say, I love and do who kind. So test to see how much you love you. And if you get it out, you say, well, I didn't say this, I gotta do it again. No. How long must you do it? Until when you think about it, you smile. When you say it, you feel good. That's when you can stop saying it. And when you get to that point, you will not want to stop saying it. So do that little personal test, and don't tell me. Don't tell nobody. It's between you and yourself and I. And try that. Now, back to my story. One of the things I advocate that we as humans are not taught is how we function as human beings. I believe that when you're born, there should be a life manual given to every person born. And that manual will say, it's the do's and don'ts. Who to talk to, who not to talk to, who to be around, who not to be around, what to say, what not to say, when to sleep, what to drink, when to drink. Because most of us don't have answers to that. We think we know how much to drink, how much water to drink, and when to go to sleep. We don't know. And it's kind of sad for us to be the highest life form on this planet, and we don't know how body functions. Now, I gave a handout to some of you all. I have a gift. If you didn't get this, go to my website, the VIP ticket. Go to my website and enter your email. And what you're going to receive is 30 videos, free, showing you how to reduce stress in your life. A gift from me to you. And you might say, well, what's that going to do for me? Learn how to, reduce stress in my life. The question is, what happens when our body come under duress, distress? When you get agitated, irritated, upset, pissed off, anger, rage. By the way, all those things I just listed are the same thing. In just different degrees of intensity. Feeling bad. Believe it or not, that's stress. Upset. You're upset. I'm confused. Stress. Believe it or not. Now, why is it important to know that? It's simple as this. When your body becomes stressed, biologically, something happens to your body. Your immune system, which protects you from getting ill or disease, immediately it shuts down. And you say, so it shuts down, Dr. Khan, and, well, if you don't have an immune system, you can catch a cold, you can catch anything and become ill. You have no protection. So if you know how to reduce stress in your life, then you will always have your protective system, your immune system intact to protect you under any situation or circumstance. That's why I want to give you those exercises, so you can learn to practice those. So no matter what's going on in your life, you can maintain your calm and your centeredness and your focus and not be open to all types of disease. You name it, you're open to it. That's why it's important to learn how to reduce stress. And I don't care how strong you are. You say, well, I can bench 450. I compete, bodybuilding. It don't matter what your physique is. If you get stressed out, you have no immune system. So do yourself a favor and work on how to maintain harmony and balance in your life. And those exercises will allow you to do that. Now, later on we have questions and answers I can address other questions you may have. I've had the opportunity to train individuals from 15 months to 86 years of age. and all in between, different age groups. I've taught them Qigong, Tai Chi, and I made it my business to know how the body works and know how to maintain balance and harmony. Some do's and don'ts. If you have somebody in your life that likes to argue, put some distance between you and that person. It don't mean you don't love them, but you got to go. Hey, okay, I'll see you later. Because argument causes what? Stress. Again, it goes back to knowing who to be around, who to talk to, who not to talk to. It don't mean you don't like them, but some people, some things are just not good for you. You got to know how to recognize those things. Now, I have one other gift I want to give you. And this one is real simple. I want you to, for those who are listening, I want you to sit back, uncross your legs and your arms, sit erect, correct posture. It's real simple. I want you to close your eyes and take in a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. And as you inhale, I want you to imagine being in the most your favorite posture, position. And notice how good you feel when you're in that position. Inhale. As you inhale, breathe in healing energy. And as you exhale, let go of stress, tension, all those things you need to let go of. Inhale and exhale. Now that feel good feeling you have, make it get bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter and bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter and bigger and bigger. Inhale and exhale. And when I count to 3, you'll come back to the present. You'll feel energized, you're calm, focused, and serene. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes. Come back. Raise your hands if you feel better. Easy, simple, anybody can do it. So if you're breathing, you can do this. You don't need no special outfit, no special wardrobe. You can do it anytime, laying down, sitting. Not driving though, don't drive. Don't drive. You gotta be stationary. So my second gift I want to give to you. Now, I want to say one other thing and then we'll close out. My time is up. Over the years, I've been trained I've been in martial arts for 48 years now. I've been recognized by my peers as a master, grand master. I'm also a doctor of acupuncture and modern medicine, a doctor of naturopath, a Reiki master, iridologist, reflexologist, and let's go on and on and on. You might say, well, Dr. Khan, what are you trying to do? Well, I love learning. I always have. I'm always curious about how I work, what I do. I also am an engineer. I will have this curiosity and still with me today. So over the years, I get individuals say, Dr. Khan, I feel like I have the gift to heal, but I don't know what to do with it. Can you help me? That was like 20 years ago. I'm saying, well, if you follow my path, you'll be in school for 19 years, which I was. So I can't recommend that path to everybody. That'll be most of your life. So over the years, I came up with a program to train healers. So this announcement for those who already know, if you got to ask the question, what is that? This is not for you. It's not for you. I have to have another program for you, not that program. So it's for those who know that they are. It's like you are, it's awareness. I am this. I cannot convince you that you are. And I believe that you can't train somebody to do that. You can train them to do step by step, but there's some things you just can't train a person to do. So if you are, contact me, 832-821-KHAN. And please text in advance why you are contacting me. Else I will not answer. I'm just letting you know. You can't say it's mean. I don't know mean. So in closing, if you could see just how wonderful you are, and know that out of all the billions of people on the planet, there's no one like you, that you are exceptional, that you are wonderful. If you could just see yourself in that light, that there are no limitations to what you can do. If you could see yourself, imagine that I have the power to create, and shape, and mold my reality. There are no limitations upon you. Only the ones you placed upon yourself. So in closing, I will leave with these words. Imagine. Imagine the best version of yourself. Imagine the best version of yourself. Imagine the best version of yourself and bring it forward. Thank you.
Okay, that was excellent, Dr. Khan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think that was ultimately monumental because perception is reality. How we perceive ourselves changes how we treat ourselves. We have been groomed to believe that we're not as important as the priorities that require our attention. And because we don't see ourselves as priority, we put things in front of us. And a lot of times, like you said, we put our health at the very end, the very back burner, because that doesn't need me right now. Something else needs me. We will put ourselves through work, even if we're sick. We will put out our last dime on covering something without taking care of ourselves because we don't prioritize ourselves the way that we need to. And so perception is reality. If you love yourself, it starts there. Good health starts with loving yourself because loving yourself means you're going to preserve yourself. If you don't love something, you're not going to take care of it. You're not going to preserve it. And so the manifestation of taking care of yourself really gets to the root of how you feel on the inside. And so that's very important. Little things that we can tweak on our own in our own minds will begin to open up the opportunities for us to do everything else. We say, oh, I can't go to the doctor right now because I have to work, or I don't have the finances, or I don't have insurance for it. But if you value yourself, there are so many things that you can do to take care of yourself, to maintain yourself, until you can be able to get to the next step. Not to mention the free resources that are out there to get yourself checked, to get yourself screened, to get medications that you need. All of these resources are out there, but you have to first value yourself to be able to attain those things and to look for those things. And so that was very, very important. Those are all pieces that we can take and do in our everyday lives, even driving. Don't close your eyes. But even driving, thinking and understanding how we feel about ourselves, getting to the root of some of those things, because those roots manifest what we experience in our lives. Everything correlates from our spirit to what we tell ourselves in our mind to how we feel in our body. And so with that, I want to bring on our next speaker. She is an advocate and a cancer survivor, amazing source of resource, Ms. Allison Rosen.
As we were doing that stress exercise, I was following along, breathing in and breathing out, and on a regular basis I have to do that myself. I get busy and I forget the important things in life. And as she was saying, I was 32 when I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. I was busy living. I was working. I was, having fun, going out with my friends, doing normal things that, someone in their 30s would do. And I sort of ignored the signs and symptoms that something wasn't right. I had lost weight. I was more fatigued than normal, so I was going to bed earlier. There was blood in my stool. I just thought that was normal. I didn't know what was going on. I had put off screening so I could go to my cousin's bachelorette party. And it was there that it just got really bad. The pain was intense. When I got back, I talked to my doctor and I scheduled, through her, I scheduled a colonoscopy. And I remember waking up from that colonoscopy. Originally, my doctor thought there was some sort of blockage. It was no big deal. Things like that happen to people, or hemorrhoids. That's what a lot of doctors will say. If you see blood in your stool and you're not of the typical age for colorectal cancer. And I remember waking up from my colonoscopy and my doctor telling me that I'm not sure what's going on. I took some biopsies. I don't think it's cancer, but there's something going on and you'll know in about 2 days. So I had to go back to work with cancer, hearing that word in my mind. And lo and behold, 2 days later, I got called to my doctor's office, and she told me I had colorectal cancer. And at that moment, I saw my life flash before my eyes. And, you know, I was wondering, could I have done something sooner? Should I have paid attention to my health better? You know, I just ignored what was going on because life got in the way. But, you know, I tried to put all that aside, you know, to the side and really focus one day at a time. And I reached out for treatment. I figured out the best doctor for me. I was lucky I had health insurance, so I had great access to health care. And I went through my treatment. I went through chemotherapy. I went through radiation. I went through multiple surgeries. And at the same time, I tried to stay working the whole time because for me, work was a good distraction. Not everyone has access to, you know, stay in their job. But if you have a boss that understands or has been affected by cancer, which unfortunately, almost everyone that you know, you look to your right, you look to your left, if you're not directly affected by it, you have a family member or a friend that has been affected by it. So a lot of people are more understanding than you actually think. But I worked throughout my treatment and I took as much time as I needed off to recover. But throughout that, I realized that my voice mattered, and being your own advocate and being the best advocate you possibly can is one of the most important things that we have. Just like it was mentioned earlier, your health is the most important thing you have. Your body, your mind, your soul, everything that you are, you're in control of all that. And really not ignoring if something seems wrong to, you know, deal with work or deal with children or deal with whatever's going on around you is one of the most important things that you can do. If you think something's wrong, go see a doctor. You've got to make time for that, because if you don't see that doctor and you don't get whatever screening or whatever blood test or whatever to tell you what health issue you might have, you might not be there for your family, for your friends, for your children. And I think if I had waited much longer, I know if I had waited much longer and not had that screening, I wouldn't be alive today and I wouldn't be here because my cancer was relatively aggressive. Usually colorectal cancer develops within 10 years. Mine was a year and a half. So really knowing that, I realized the importance of going out and telling my story and telling people that if I was 32 and I got diagnosed, the screening age now is 45, based on the American Cancer Society's recommendations for the average person. So if you are 45 or older, you need to talk to your doctor about getting screened. And everyone thinks colonoscopy, it's the worst thing in the world. Well, if I hadn't had that colonoscopy and taken that day off of work and drank the prep and taking care of all that, again, I wouldn't be alive right now because I would have had no idea what was going on. There's a lot of easy, take-home, affordable screening tests that aren't colonoscopies that people can do without having to take off work. Now, if that test is called the FIT test, if positive, then you have to go on to colonoscopy because that picks up microscopic blood. Sometimes you don't even know something is wrong. So that's why that screening is so important, because I work in cancer prevention, so I know that 45 and above are at higher risk for colorectal cancer along with other cancers. But I think a lot of things that I talk about when I tell my story, besides being your own best advocate, is the side of you have traditional treatment, and then we were talking about integrative medicine and alternative ways to deal with your stress, your wellness. So I had a lot of pain, and I didn't want to take pain medicine during my treatment. I had to take some, but I used acupuncture as a way for me to heal, and I noticed a difference in my pain level very, very easily. I did meditation. I used an app on my phone, a free app on my phone, to do exactly sort of what we did now, to listen to calming voices, breathe in and breathe out, because stress makes your health worse. Hands down, it makes it worse. I have to remind myself that every day now, when I get stressed about things at work or in life, and I realize, okay, Allison, stop for a second. You're a cancer survivor. You don't need to stress about this. You're around. I think everyone has to stop in their lives and really reflect on what's the most important thing. And your health and your body and your soul are really, really important. Another thing that I do is I go out and advocate to the people that represent where I live and the city and the state that I live. So I've been to Austin and I've been to DC to advocate for policy change. Because without research or without policy change, There's going to be no cure for cancer. There's going to be no better treatments that are available now. 10 years ago, certain treatments weren't available, and now they are because of research and because of policy change to provide money for research, specifically in Texas. I was a researcher for a long period of time, so I know the importance of spending hours trying to figure out if this one gene is involved in this cancer or that cancer. And so being able to tell your story and put a personal touch on that, whoever are your reps need to hear that. They need to hear what's going on in your neighborhood, what's going on in your family, what's going on around you. And that will help them make better decisions, because essentially they were voted by everyone that lives in their area to serve, and they need to hear your voice, and your voice matters. So besides all that, I think that there obviously is an issue, and in this specific area, everyone has access to healthcare. Everyone has access to healthcare. Easy, accessible, affordable, and I want everyone to realize that they need to reach out. Like I said, stop for a second and realize that the most important thing in life, and I realized that we were talking earlier, again, trauma, that doesn't matter to me. I try to do my best at living every day to the fullest, because I didn't know if I was going to be alive. So now that I am, I'm always willing to talk to people about my story to help increase awareness about prevention, increase awareness about screening, and make sure that you treat your body how it deserves to be treated. So, thank you.
That's excellent, especially the fact that you were and still are a researcher and an advocate. This woman knows all of the resources, well, a lot. I'm not going to put you out and say all, but a lot of resources that are around the community to take care of my health. There are so many different programs that are set aside specifically to help you with testing and know where to stand with everything. I know that MD Anderson and the Harris Health facilities are working on being able to do testing for this community, specifically due to the increase of contamination in the cancer cluster. So there's so many different resources out. We will be putting together packets of free resources. If you don't know someone in your area, look through this resource book and find out, because it is so important, especially because environmentally you're more disposed and affected by cancer. So I'm going to bring up our next speaker. We have been blessed to have such an amazing organization, CanCare. As advocates, they are not just advocating for people that are going through cancers, but they are survivors that turn back and volunteer their time to help people through the process, because they can get through it. And being able to have an ally that has not only been through it, but can be able to help you see the light at the end of the tunnel is monumental, especially in your healing process. So I'd like to bring up our CanCare advocate.
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
My voice doesn't count, so just raise your hand if you can't hear me from time to time.
What?
I'm Roman Williams, and I'm a two-time cancer survivor. It's been 18 years since I've had my first diagnosis of cancer. My second diagnosis was 7 years ago. And I'm not ashamed to tell you that both times I was told that I had cancer, it scared me to death. I totally shut down. I couldn't hear beyond anything that was said around me. My wife took great notes and translated things for me when I was ready to talk about them. But for me, it started off to be a very frightful experience for me. Initially, when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, I was 52 years old, and I was at the height of my career. Could not perceive anything like this could possibly happen to me. All things that I was able to do, and God allowed me to do, it just seemed like it was natural that it was supposed to happen. With cancer, as I thought about it, why not me? After all, cancer runs in my family. My brother today has leukemia. I have 2 uncles that passed with prostate cancer. And I have an aunt that passed with breast cancer. So as I think about it, along the way of not thinking that one day it could be me, I was probably pretty selfish in my life, thinking that things would always be the way that I thought they might be, but cancer gave me a direction that I never ever anticipated that it would happen. So my story goes something like this. I was diagnosed with a routine physical exam that I had to take because our company insisted that we take the exam. I thought it was a waste of time. I wasn't looking forward to getting the finger. You'll have to follow along with me what they do with that, but it wasn't something I was looking forward to. But it actually took my urologist a year to determine that I actually had cancer. So I had a lot of ups and downs and false readings, and all that was doing was allowing that anxiety level to go higher and higher and higher, because I simply wanted it to be over. I wanted it to be over in a good way and say, hey, you don't have it, but it actually came down that I did have cancer. I was fortunate that my urologist asked that I go to MD Anderson, and because although I thought it took a long time to diagnose it, which I was perhaps afraid about that as well, I was thinking, why couldn't we get this done a year ago? But I didn't realize that I had a whole array of options, which just added to that anxiety level because I had to choose something to do, and I didn't know what to choose. That's when God started sending help my way. I got contacted with the gentleman that I worked with 10 years earlier that learned that I had cancer. And when he asked me what procedure I was going to take, I said, well, I'm going to have radical surgery. I didn't even like the way that sounded, but that's what they labeled it. And he shared with me that 10 years prior, that was the surgery that he had had, and that there was other technologies that were available. And he introduced me to someone who had laparoscopic surgery. And MD Anderson at that time was actually in its clinical trials. What was attractive to me about that was it was less invasive, and I'd be able to get back to work a lot sooner. So that's the route that I chose. Surgery went well. I remember leaving surgery just briefly, and the nurse gave me a button to push for morphine and said, you feel any pain, just push this button and it'll relieve your pain. But when your IV is done, there's no more morphine. My thought was, well, how bad can it be? Because so far I'm feeling pretty good. About 2:30 in the morning, the pain hit me like I had never been hit before. And I rose completely out of the bed, and it was the type of pain that makes men cry. You know, you ladies are saying we probably cry at the drop of a hat anyway, but this type of pain was something I'd never experienced before. And just as I was about to call for my wife, because I couldn't get the attention of the nurse, my wife was sleeping in the room with me, a person walked into the room and asked if he could help. And I explained what was going on, and he said, I'll get a nurse, and he did, and the nurse came and started administering oral medications, and soon my pain subsided. This is 2:30 in the morning. I'd like to talk a little bit about that person that walked in my room. He was a volunteer. And And I just thought that was amazing that volunteers would be in the hospital at 2:30 in the morning. So he spent some time with me and he prayed with me. And I can still remember the words that he used, but more importantly, I asked him, why 2:30 in the morning? And he said, because 3 months prior, I had the same surgery at the same time, and I know what you're going through. So he basically said, I've walked the same shoes that you've walked. And I thought that was amazing. And I knew then that when I retired, I had to give back in the same sense. Not at 2:30 in the morning, but I do hospital volunteering now for CanCare. I believe that perhaps God has a sense of humor. I didn't think I was serious at the time. Because when cancer came back the second time, I hadn't yet retired, but when it came back the second time, and I was, again, hearing the words, hearing that it had returned, not only had it returned a lot more aggressively than it did the first time. That anxiety level, everything else just started coming back exactly like it came before. So I understand when people say that it scares the death out of you. And it can be that way if you clearly think you're by yourself trying to get through this cancer journey. I had lots of people that I didn't know, that came to my rescue, that came to my support, that helped me through my cancer journey. A lot of my friends, it's a funny thing if you've never been sick before, you really can't have empathy for those that are sick. They want to be helpful, but they really don't know what to say. That first volunteer that I had said, hey, you gotta give people hope to give you hope. And what he said to me was, think of something that helps them to understand how you're feeling, but be honest about it. And when my friends would come around and they'd ask me how I was feeling, I would say that I'm better today than I was the day before. And I know that God had something to do with that. So once I did retire and I started going to hospitals to do volunteer work, they referred me to CanCare. And what I appreciate about CanCare, I was not aware of the organization, but what I appreciate about them is that this organization will match you with individuals that have the same type of cancer or treatment that you're going through, so that they can talk the same language that you're talking, so they can have the same empathy that you need at the time that you're going through that. So I'm proud to be a member of the organization. I'm proud of the hospital work that I do. I'm proud of being able to say that I'm a survivor, and just to see that glimmer of hope in people's eyes, that you can support them through their challenges. That's what I look forward to. So thank you for hearing my story, and I hope I've said something that will allow you to look for help if you find yourself in the situations of needing help and support with cancer. Thank you very much.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Norman. That was amazing. Wow, that's a lot. And the fact that you are standing here today to be able to speak about it and to be able to give back is monumental, because it's not the end all be all. And to be able to say that there are advocates out there that have been through it, that have struggled through it, that know how you feel, you're not alone. And that's the biggest thing for these events, is that you are not alone at all. We hear you, and we understand from different angles and different aspects what you're going through, and we're here to support and educate and give you the resources needed so that you can be able to live a better life and to be able to fight another day. In closing, I just want to give you guys a little bit of information about what's going on in this community, what is going on to be able to move forward and where everything stands. So currently, the cancer cluster that is afflicting 5th Ward and Kashmere Gardens is due to creosote contamination in the grounds and groundwaters and in the air. And it's something that the creosote has been placed on the railroads, on the phone lines, and there was actually a creosote plant right there in, I think it's 5th Ward, a creosote plant that had some explosion issues that happened. So it seeped in pretty deep. And due to that piece, the environmental aspects have afflicted this community. They are moving forward in reference to politically, they're moving forward with getting Union Pacific Railroad, who is the company that now owns the railroad tracks, and the EPA to be able to do further testing to be able to correlate the cancer cluster with the contamination. They have done some testing, but it has not been conclusive enough to say this is exactly what's going to stick. I know that Sheila Jackson Lee and her organization are moving to put the onus on Union Pacific to do the further testing that's necessary, as well as creating a super fund for the residents of this community to be able to fund the issues that are going on. They're also looking to be able to find people that are being afflicted to get their names on the list to be first in line for the super fund. So we will be bringing in more information as that moves forward. But ultimately, from what we're hearing, cleanup efforts takes time. And a lot of people are saying that these cleanup efforts will not be seen in this generation, which is unfortunate because this is something that has been afflicting for generations and generations. One thing that we are offering is independent testing. So if you know of people that need independent testing, please have them get in contact with us, because we want to be able to bring a good group of people to say, all right, we're ready for this independent testing, to be able to move forward with the EPA and the logistics and the legal side of those aspects. So Circle Network does have independent testing aid for people that need it. We also are advocating for the physical, mental, and spiritual, as well as financial aspect of the affliction of cancer, which is directly for the community. The residents are the ones that are being afflicted by this. And so what we're offering is that support, the list of free screenings, the events where you can be able to be screened at, medicine information, holistic or conventional. MD Anderson is here advocating and partnering with us to get this word out. CanCare is here to advocate and get this word out. So there's a bevy of resources that you're able to be able to pull from. And ultimately, just education, to be honest with you. I don't want to harp on that too much, but really that's what it's about, because knowledge is power. If you have the knowledge, you have the tools to be able to create and change the world around you. If you don't have that knowledge, if you don't have that education, then those tools are essentially out of your reach. And what good is those tools if you can't use them? And so we're looking to bring these tools to you the last Wednesday of every month from January to June. We will be here. So please let everyone that you know that is either affected by cancer or lives in this community and is affected by the issues that are going on in this community. This is the space to be. These are the resources. Every last Wednesday, they will be here to support you guys. I thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to give out this word and to offer you these resources. And if you need them, we're here for you. Thank you so much, and you all have a peaceful and great evening.